Did you know that Tolkien didn't even make up the name Gandalf? Hey there, word nerds! So this past Sunday, the word nerds chatted about world building. And a question that came up was, how do you make up names for your characters in a fantasy world that are different but still seem like believable real names? I thought this was a really great question because it was something I struggled with for a long time. I wanted to make up names, and so I just throw some random letters together, and the names didn't really make that much sense or roll off the tongue very well, but they were original fantasy names, right? So I looked up the names of 3 characters from some famous fantasy stories that you've probably heard of to see how those authors came up with their unique fantasy names. First up, as I mentioned in the intro for this video, was Gandalf. I mean, Tolkien made up his own languages for these books, so I thought looking at the names of his characters might be a good place to start. And you know what I found out? Lord of the Rings wasn't the first time the name Gandalf has shown up in literature. The name comes from Old Norse, and it means wand elf, which kind of describes Gandalf. He's not quite an elf, but it works. And it's actually the name of a dwarf in the Völuspá, which is a 13th century Scandinavian manuscript. Next up, I looked up Hermione from Harry Potter. Turns out Hermione's name also comes from some older stories like Gandalf does. Hermione is actually a character from Greek mythology. She's the child of Helen and Menelaus. Her name comes from the name Hermes, who is a Greek god, and the name Hermione also shows up in Shakespeare. She is the wife of Leontis in The Winter's Tale. And lastly, I looked up Aslan from C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia. And it turns out that Aslan is actually a Turkish word, and it means lion. Big surprise there. So basically what I'm getting at here is that you don't need to throw some letters together and some sounds together to make a creative, unique name for your fantasy story. Honestly, if you do that, it's going to be hard to pronounce, it's going to seem weird. It's easier and honestly better to base your characters' names off of something real. So look through old stories and old mythology. You can find some really strange and interesting names in there that will work well for your stories. Or like Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, look at old languages. And if these strategies can work for some of our classic fantasy writers, they can work for you. What do you think are some cool ways to find interesting and unique names for your characters? And have you ever found a cool meaning or background for a character's name in one of your favorite books? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget that this Sunday at 7:30 Eastern Time, we will be having our Word Nerds live chat. It will be a whole chat about firsts. First lines, first paragraphs, first chapters. And one other reminder, next Sunday, we will be having our monthly book club. We'll be talking about Across the Universe by Beth Revis. I just got my copy today, so I'm really excited to start reading it and get it done in the next week and a half so that I can talk about it with you guys. We'll see you later. Bye.